no problem. You can turn off your camera. You can just say to us. So from this moment, we started the recording of the meeting. So this is the second webinar of digital literacy for elder people. And so I don't know how much of you were present on the first one, but we had the possibility to meet and share, thanks also to Anna and Ms. Gilgelman, the basic principles of the Geragogy. So to do, try to not take too much time on remembering this. We are basically trying to make the learner as a particular, as a principal participant of his own learning. We are trying to forget teaching with teachers, but we are trying to make all the learning environment something that counts, encountering all the possibilities from the space, from the needs and the reasons that the person have to learn. We are doing this webinar in the frame of the Ganymed project, that is a project that is that has the aim to trying to make a better condition involving in the social life of the elderly people, teaching and trying to find some new ways to learning the digital instrument of every day. So we are doing this in various ways. I want to start with the first presentation of the meeting. That will be myself. Uh, we are starting to talk about stories, and we will try to make clear why stories are an important part for the learning style. Second, because I'm going to share my screen. Okay. So are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
So let's start, and we will talk about storytelling as a teaching tool. And in this presentation, I will try to teach, to talk about three different things that seem like this seems disconnected one from the other, but I hope that at the end of this little presentation, you can understand why they are really connected. So we will talk about experience, stories, and the learning itself. So an experience is, starting for the first one, is a lived event characterized by multiple and multifaceted elements. So takes into consideration people's activities, context, and objects. And what is really interesting of the experience is that experience are told, are shared through stories. And some way we share our experience with ourselves in our stories. We talk in our inner mind about the stories that makes this experience. So an experience is a personal narration of a moment, and it is based on feeling, thoughts, and action. But I know this can feel like a little abstract, so I'll try to make an example. Let's take, for example, a travel. If I start to travel, I'm doing a great experience. I don't know, as an example, traveling to Germany. And traveling to Germany is all my experience. But when I'm talking about this experience, I'm talking about taking the plans, encountering new peoples, and maybe discover something new. And in the narration on the story that I tell about this, it's also meeting new people and how I feel about them, the people that I'm meeting, and the sentiment. Maybe in that place is really cold or really hot, and I have a memory of this. And all these parts are the are the are part of the experience itself. I like to say that an experience is everything between its beginning and its end. And it's really complex and it's really full of different things that mm, this make when we this make clear that when we are talking about an experience, we are talking about a really complex thing. So someone said that one of the best way to teach and to learn is the experience itself. Paul talk about experience learning cycle. That is a way on each of us learn in some way, and it's really an easy to read way. So there we have a reflective observation phase, so the time that we are watching, and then we start to thinking about what we are watching and what we are trying to learn. This is a part of abstract conceptualization. But then we need to have an active experimentation. If we want to learn something, we have to put our hands on it, and we have to make this a concrete experience. And the concrete experience is part of our feeling itself. So we don't start from one of these points. Sometimes we understand things and we learn new things, actually doing new things. Sometimes it's a feeling, and sometimes we start to think. Uh, and the other things is that every learning is for a learner. And the learner has really basically main characteristic. And this characteristic is that the learner is different from any other learner. Uh, there are some people called try to make um, differentiation, saying, for example, that there are people who likes more feeling and watching, and this is a way to learn or sometimes of kind of learner. Uh, I don't think this is the important part, but the important part is that there are physical difference, cognitive difference, and there are different needs and motivation that makes every learner a different person and have a unique way of learning. The second point is that an experience is something that can bring to a change. And making an experience is something that we do all the time. You are doing an experience right now. And there are some experience that can make a change more easily than other. That's are called transformative experience. Uh, when we are talking about transformative experience, we are talking of something that in some way change your ways of you your point of view or make you different in some way. There is a large theorization on it, but we can see two things that bring to a transformative experience. From a part, we have a peak experience that is the moment of intense inspiration, is joyful, transitory, is a moment. And I have an example here. It's like seeing your son for the first time, the miracle of a newborn child. This, sorry, this make a really high, intense moment. But the transformative experience is not only an high, joyful, transitory, and extraordinary moment. It's also sometimes a scary moment. And one of the experience that one of the feelings that really brings to a transformation is a feeling that is called sorry for my bad pronunciation, that it's like a moment of terror mixed with veneration. It's I know it's a little difficult to imagine, but uh, the image that I want you to imagine is like walking on the cliff of near the sea and watching the sea that is really like uh, agitated, angry, and this is actually really scary because the sea is something big and immense. You deal with the infinites that you have in front of you. But at the same time, it's really beautiful. And it's something that in some way moves you inside. I don't know if it's something that happened to you, but there is sometimes that you are seeing like the sea from the hike or an intense hike, good view from high mountains, stuff like that, and you feel like, okay, maybe I will make up a step more to the ledge to see better. And this is really terrifying, but at the same time, it's really inspirational. There is so a transformative experience is more or less a synthesis of these two moments, but it's also something more. I have an example of something really uh, like a good example of the transformative experience that is something that happens to all the people that have gone to the space, or almost all the people that have gone to the space. So, in the words of Edgar Mitchell, the astronaut, in outer space, you develop instant global consciousness. And this global consciousness comes from the view of the heart itself. Uh, all the things like lose importance and became important something else. So it's not a case that a lot of astronauts then had a change in themselves. So, for example, Mitchell became a founder of the Noetic Institute on Altered State of Consciousness. Charles Duke had a conversion to Catholic religion. Gene Irwin became a predicator, and other volunteers' activities were done from Russell Tour. And this is uh, it's really interesting to see that after the space experience, everyone has a big transformation itself. But we can't send the people in space hoping that they will transform themselves and understand everything. A transformative experience is not a single moment. And the point is that every learning that we are doing is some way a journey, is some way a moment of transformation. So what is also a journey? Sure is the hero journey. I don't know how many are familiar with this. This is like the Campbell structure that he wrote to explain mythography, to explain stories that are most of the stories that we like. Um, I don't know. I can make example from like the ancient Greek, like with Odyssea, Odysseus, and all the story of the Greek mythology. But for example, even Star Wars or Harry Potter are some way um, connected to the hero journey model. So what we have an hero that at some points is called to adventure. It can have another hate, and at some points the important point is that he has to move over the threshold, and over the threshold, all that we know is no more. So we go over this threshold, And at that point, we have all the challenges and all the uh, revelation that brings us to a transformation. And I know it seems really, uh, I don't know, abstract, but in another way is how call, we tell our story. Every day when we are talking about something, we are some way taking part of this hero journey and we are bringing to our daily life. Not every story is a hero journey. Obviously, not every story has a supernatural hate, as a mentor, helper, as a part of death and rebirth. But you can recognize part of the hero journey in every story. And the main point is always that when we are making a change and we are moving from the know and unknown, there is always this crossing of the threshold. And from the journey, we came back change. We live this transformative experience. I, I don't know, for example, if how many of you have heard the story of a person who has done an Erasmus project in the university. And all the story goes in the same way. All they say, you can't understand what is. Uh, I came back totally changed from it. I know I can't explain you how I feel about this because it's on the other part of the threshold. Because it's something that is unknown and is known now from the hero itself that became in some way the guardian of this threshold. So what brings us to the learning? The point is that when we are talking about stories and when we are trying to teach with a story, we have many points that gives advantages to the learning itself. So we have an autonomy part because telling a story is not teaching. Telling a story is just telling a story. And nobody's trying to force me to learn. I can take what I want from that story. But at the same time, I'm feeling my expertise improve because I'm able to recognize this important learning, but also I'm knowing a new experience. And an expert is a person who knows a lot, who has a lot of experience in something. At the same time, we can relate with the character of the story. And the relation is not always they are like me. Sometimes my relation is they are totally opposite to me, but it's also this a new a way of learning. What is popularity is not only me. It's happening also to someone else. Sometimes I can feel the story and feel that it's similar to one of my stories. At the same time, a good story is interesting, fun, entertaining, and knowing that other did that experience make this experience less scary for me. So this gives a feeling of security. So stories are generally more interesting to fact, sticks to the memory more easily, and is how we talk about our experience. And as I said, experience is what makes our knowledge. Not every story is a transformative experience. Uh, not every story is like going to the space, but every story can be part of a transformative experience. Because we said transformative experience is not a moment, it's a process. Going to the space is the moment of big transformation, the realization. But to go to the space, all the astronauts had a lot of stories inside, a lot of knowing, and a lot of experience that they have to do a lot of training and I don't know, everything that happens in their life. But since we are talking about learning, we have to take in consideration that a good story is not enough because it's not uh, it's not what we need. What we need is not a good story, and then all the other things of the learning are forgot. We need space to reflect. We need the possibility to choose on objective. We need, as Colt said, the possibility to make active experimentation, concrete experience, good space and instruments. We need a motivation itself, and we need differentiation in the process. Because as I said, every learner is different. But I don't know if you can see the connection, but this part of the Geragogy principle that we see in the first webinar. And when we do a really good work with the learning process, what we want to achieve is a status of flow. The flow is a construct posterized by Csikszentmihalyi, and is a channel of efficiency between anxiety and boredom. Is sorry, is that feeling that comes out when you don't to make simple, when you forget about time, when you are so focused in something that and the level of skill of your skill is adequate enough and the level of the challenge is adequate enough and makes you go like in a flow. And this brings to self-motivation, auto-determination, and all these things that makes anxiety and boredom totally away from the task we are doing. So if we are doing a learning that it's effective and great, and it's output maybe from a great story, we have the possibility to feel the flow channel, to be in the flow channel. So this is all from my view. I don't know if you have any question. Okay. So I hope I was clear enough from you, and we made clear why stories are so important for us. Thank you, Nelly. So I can give the word to Maria because she will show us how we wanted to implement stories in our project and how we want to use for the digital learning.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Thanks, Salvatore, for your introduction and also for your presentation. I'm going to share my screen so you will be able to watch the first video that we have prepared, the first story. And well, the video is composed by some characters with some problems as well, and we try to make a story with this based on some learning principles and the Geragogy principles. And okay, I hope you like it. And let's go to see it.
Lucia is a retired CEO of a successful family-owned bakery run now by her granddaughter. This 72-year-old woman has more than 40 years of experience managing a senior cafe at a local church where a group of people like to meet and discuss different topics such as family, typical recipes, or online banking, among others. At the seniors' coffee meeting this week, Lucia discusses with some friends the recent problem of closing of bank offices and the resulting difficulties in managing her personal finances. Lucia hopes that older people, especially women and disadvantaged people, can have a guaranteed access to banking services in this all-digital society. During the meeting, Lucia and three other women come up with the idea to form a banking action group in order to do something against the closing of bank offices and the pressure to move to online banking. They book the church meeting room so that they can develop their project. At the beginning, they expect that one meeting would be enough, but they soon realize that approximately 6 meetings will be needed to set up the project. During the second meeting, a conflict arises. Others get frustrated by Lucia's dominance, especially one of the other participants, a former bank worker herself, and an argument ensues. Lucia is not one to give up when obstacles occur. For the next meeting, the group invites a social worker from the community to help them in solving the conflict. Lucia and her team come up with creative ideas and an open-minded posture to find solutions. They are willing to push their project into successful realization. The former bank worker definitely supports the demand for open bank offices. She is ambivalent about online banking because of the stress and lessened job security for bank workers. Yet, she is also open to solutions of hybrid banking or other services, including the use of digital tools. Thanks to conflict mediation, the social worker is able to support all members in reflecting and articulating their underlying needs and wishes for the project. The social worker also assists them in project management tasks and introduces them to a small tool of digital project management, a secure data folder in a cloud for sharing drafts of documents. Thus, the conflict is successfully solved. One other member of the group has a trusting relationship with his bank office and facilitates that the group will meet with one of his bank's clerks in order to discuss options for keeping that specific bank open. They will also have the opportunity to test together a terminal located at the bank office, which is an access point for digital banking. The group tries it and discusses ideas for improvement. Lucia, who is a very diplomatic person and has the ability to capture people's attention, is able to network with other groups of seniors who demand access to bank services and to contact other persons who do not usually use digital devices. She has contacts with groups in her national district, but also internationally. As a result, she gets invited to participate in an international online video call of several other initiatives that are working together on a petition. After this success, Lucia reports back to her local group about this meeting. And then, another victory just happens as a result of the petition to the bank. The large national banking entity offers a service learning project for their apprentices and for customers who do not use online banking. The bank is going to place a bank terminal in the facilities 24/7 for online banking. Twice a week, bank staff will be present to offer bank services in person, to assist in using the terminal, and to offer a banking cafe for customers aged over 70 years old, where ideas about digital banking tools get tested and improved. Apprentices will learn to listen to customers' needs, and older customers will share their feedback, ideas, and needs. With group learning and help research, they all started to learn together some of the principles of Geragogy states.
Okay, so this is it. This is the first story. I hope you like the video and you get also the idea behind this story. And as Salvatore was explaining, that make you reflect on and also to learn.
These stories will be a part of our Ganymed platform, and will be the way how we introduce the learning itself, and with which we try to feel the Ganymed and the Geragogy principles in a shared way, and put the learner as part of the learning itself. Uh, Now we have another presentation from Victoria that will talk about feedback we received from the first story.
Hello, everyone.
Victoria?
Hello, thank you for being here with us. And if you don't mind, I'm going to share my screen too. Can you see my presentation?
Yes.
Okay, so who is Anna? I want to present you my grandma. Okay, when we decide to be part of the project, I always had in mind her because she always tells me a story about her own life, and the way she does it is like telling me something that happened when she was a child, but it seems like a story to me. So I wanted to show her the first story and to read the story to her and get some thoughts about it. So she's 7 years old woman. She lost her mom when she was 8 years old. She never went to school. She cannot read properly. She cannot write. Just properly, she can write her name, but no more than that. She has got a mobile phone, but the only thing she can do is to call my mom, my dad, and my brother and me. She doesn't know how to use a computer. So when I present the story to her and I told to her about online banking, she looked at me like, oh wow, kind of scared. So I record her reactions. I'm not gonna play the whole video because it obviously is in Spanish, but I want you to show you her face and how she reacts when I'm reading the story to her. First, before the story, she felt insecure, scared because she thought, oh, online banking, and I don't know how to use that. I'm gonna lose my money. She said fraud, difficult to use, helpless, like something very, very bad for her. This is me reading to her the story. As you can say, I have to explain to her everything properly because she doesn't really understand what online banking means. And also I use a sample because I remember last year when my grandpa passed away, she was very, very worried about the bank account they have in common. So she has one person in the bank who really trusts, and she was like, oh my god, Paco really helps me, I love him, I just want to go to the bank and explain to him the situation. So when I explained to her that the story, they were going to close the bank, the local bank, for give them the option to use the online banking, she was like, oh, is this gonna happen to me? But I tried to explain to her the whole story and the final result, that they were going to organize a group to discuss. They were going to be taught about how to use the online banking. And after that, I asked her if she would like, as an example, if that happened here, she would like to join like a group in the bank and teach her how to use her phone and how to manage the online banking. And she was like, yes, of course, because I can meet people there in the same situation like me. That would be great, because you know the new technology is everything now, and I feel like I don't know anything about that. So she has a really good impression. Um, and her thoughts after listening to the story was really interesting. As I said, she wanted to learn more. She felt safer because someone will be there helping her, motivated, because you know, even though she's very old, it's something new for her, and she's always able to learn something. And as I wrote there, she always wants to learn how to use the phone, how to use WhatsApp. So why not to use the online banking like the people of the story? So it was very good to explain, to show her the story, to read her the story, and to see her reactions about it. And this is also part of this project to get their thoughts about the stories. And this is it for me, from my side. I hope you like my grandma's reaction and the presentation.
Okay, thank you, Victoria, and thank you also to Anna, your grandma, helping us in this. Uh, so as we said in the Ganymed project, we were trying to use these stories of a part of the project itself, of the learning itself. So obviously we cannot learn only listening to the stories, but the part that comes important is to teach, to learn from the stories what are the possible solution that came from yourself experience from you. So when you are listening to the Ganymed stories, you are able also of you will be able, and this is what we will present on the next steps of our project and in the pilot test that will come in the next days, to add an interactive moment the story itself. So while you are reading the stories, you are also taking care of, you are also having some external links, some points where you can feel, you can read about any other information, you can try, you can make test your skill with your apprend, your learning path. So it will become an interactive moment that comes not from a theoretical and boring lesson, but become a practical moment that came out from something that we can experience ourselves. Like Victoria said, grandma said, I hope this not happening to me, because this is what this is the basic problem that we are going uh, to share in that we are trying to fight with our health. Yes, I saw that Maria. Thank you to the link to the project website. Is an ongoing project, so we are going on and putting always more interesting and part. We should send you a mail and inform you, also following our pages on each part of the project every time that we have new materials for. I don't know if we will have any question about this. Okay, I think that silence means that everything is clear. Okay, and this is the second of four of the webinar that we do with the Ganymed project, but the next one are going to be in the next years. We will try to make you in contact also because we will need to test the platform itself, show the stories and bring you a complete experience that you can try it yourself and you can make try to any people that is interested in the learning, in the digital learning itself. So if there is no other question, I think that we are okay with the webinar for today. It's a problem if we finish a little earlier. Say something with her? Okay. Still, I thank you all to come here and listening to us. I will send to you questionnaire for the to know if you to have some feedback from your participation. And I hope to see you the next webinar of Ganymed and about digital literacy overall.
Thank you, Salvatore.
Thank you. Thank you to all of you. And see you soon.
Bye.
Bye bye.